G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is an AK-47. Specifically, it's an AK-47 from Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War as part of the Call of Duty Weapon Deposit mod, which has a lot of weapon mods in there, all sort of individual, and the mod doesn't actually tell you the list of weapons in the title, so if you go through the different downloads available for that mod, you'll actually be pretty well surprised at exactly how many mods you'll find in there, how many cool guns. There's a Chris Vector in it as well, which caught my eye, but I went for an AK-47 because it's probably one of the most iconic weapons ever created. Developed in Russia by one Mikhail Kalashnikov in 1947, this is basically the template basis of any other Russian-made rifle past 1947 because it was such a reliable design, iconic. Every bloody movie under the sun has got one of these in it, even Star Wars somewhere. And yeah, I don't really need to talk about the history of this thing because it's well known and, well, it's an AK-47. Everybody knows what exactly it is, so it's not an obscure weapon, definitely not a forgotten weapon. We all know what this thing is, so we'll just get to the attachments instead. Right now I've got receivers, which are currently at standard, but we can pump that all the way up to advanced receiver, giving us 172 damage, firing the 5.56 rounds, which is a lighter caliber than what the AK-47 actually fires. I think the AK-74 is the one that fires the lighter rounds, which was developed at a much later date. But yeah, this one fires the big 7.62 Russian rounds, which are not 5.56s. It could probably have those chambered in 308, and that'll be close enough, but that might be a gripe, unless this thing is specifically supposed to be in 5.56, which I doubt it. That's not going to happen. Anyway, so we've got a stock here. You can have a tactical stock, which kind of looks like an RPK stock. You can pretty much turn this into an RPK should you choose the correct barrel attachments and the stock attachments to make it look as such. Also, you can make the magazine super long as well, so you can actually get a whole lot of looks out of this thing. You can take the stock off completely, give it a short barrel, then you can pretend it's a short-barreled AK-47. So I guess the modularity is nice. Yeah, that's one from a PKM. It even says it. I just said PKM because I recognized it from that. But that's kind of cool. They don't seem to be doing that much except for giving me slightly different descriptions for which I don't know if they're going to actually reduce the recoil or not, whether this is just a thing for, I guess, vanilla flavor. Just throw on a stock because it looks cool kind of deal. Anyways, you can change the barrel lengths, which have many different lengths, which don't actually affect the accuracy or the range of the weapon, which is kind of disappointing, but like I said, you can turn this thing into an RPK if you feel like it, which I think is pretty neat. But we're going to leave this as a standard barrel because I kind of want to use just a standard AK-47 because we haven't really had that sort of feel since the Chinese assault rifle back in Fallout 3, but that was more of an RPD type weapon. That was a really bizarre thing. Anyways, you can throw some duct tape around your grip if you want. I guess that's going to make it more comfortable on your mitts after a long days of shooting. And you can change the magazine. You can get extra magazine capacity out of this thing. Have the taped mags, the bakelite rounds, which you'd think would make the weapon lighter because it's not made of the same metal and would be lighter in material, but it doesn't. So I guess this is just changing nothing but the mag capacity. So we'll go for this one because it's 50 rounds. It's a little bit higher than what we'd get normally. And we've gone to the sights now, which there's no glowing iron sights here, which is a real shame. But if you decide to put on a reflex sight, it does come with that little AK mount here because obviously Picatinny rails didn't exist at the time when this weapon was around. So we've had to sort of bolt something on the side there, which kind of looks cool. Let's go for this one because I recognize it from other video games that I've played. And you can have nothing on the body. No bodies included in this AK-47. Nothing under barrel either, which is a little bit of a shame. So there's no foregrips available for this particular barrel, at least. You can have a muzzle brake, flash guard, suppressor, which will increase your damage thanks to good old-fashioned ace operator. And there's also more suppressors. So that one, the GRU suppressor, which looks like a giant burrito on the end of the barrel. So we'll throw that one on. And there's our AK-47, looking a little bit different than normal, but it's still AK enough for me. Alright, so crafting this thing is kind of easy. It's under weapon -WZ AK-47, which would, it tells me that it's actually a Warzone AK-47, so I don't know if they're mutually exclusive because I haven't played much Call of Duty lately, but there you go, you can craft it for gun nut rank 4, which is obviously tied off to a pretty late level, and these materials, which you should have plenty of by the time you've gotten to a level sufficient to unlock gun nut rank 4. Righto, welcome to the Plaza kill box once again, and this is an AK-47 in first person. It's got some gun bobbing animations, sprinting animations, and the bashing animation can blow up cars in a single hit, so you know this particular model is pretty sturdy. Now I'm thinking the direction that they've gone with this one, the Warfighter usually does, is making it feel like the game has jumped right out of Call of Duty into your hands in Fallout, which means the recoil on this thing is going to be predictable. The reload is fast. Just think of like, we've got the sleight of hand perk in all 3 slots or whatever. Is that how it works? And the bashing animations, like Call of Duty melee hits, are going to be a one-hit kill every time, so they do absurd amount of damage. That's what I'm gathering from this thing anyway. Take a quick look at this thing in third person. It's great. It's sized pretty well. No clipping detected at all, which is great. The stock is a little bit off, but honestly, that's just vanilla game rifle stuff anyway, so I can give that one a pass. And we've got several other variants of this. This particular rifle doesn't have the reflex sight particularly well lined up, so maybe we're just going to be using VATS with this particular version. Yes, okay, it looks like we've gone for quantity over quality in terms of the mod deposit, but we'll give this, as Kevin Rudd once said, a fair shake of the sauce bottle to see how we go. This one is an RPK with a see-through scope, and if you listen real closely, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of difference between a suppressed sound and an unsuppressed sound, which is going to be a little bit confusing. So we'll just get started on shooting some gunners and we'll see what we can do. That's a 4.4 times sneak critical multiply, which means the suppressor keywords definitely do apply, even if we aren't getting the specific sounds that we would usually get. We've also got a tactical, like, armor chest plate thing installed because I accidentally hit the button whilst I was messing around before, just using this weapon around Spectacle Island, firing at stuff. So things are going pretty good at the moment. This is a little power spot here. For some reason you can sit directly in this shadow here and they just simply won't find you, which might just be, I don't know why it's like this, but we can use this to cheaply pick off a few enemy gunners before we get shot at and we start losing more bits of health than we usually would. So let's put this away and we'll use something a little bit more on the loud side. This is the RPK variant. I gotta say that using this thing and having the entire housing of that scope rattle in my face, it's a little bit distracting, I must say, and that plasma bolt hit me directly in the face. And the armor plate that I was wearing on my chest caught that directly, so that's an armor plating service you can count on right there. Now, luckily for me, controlling the recoil won't be that much of a problem here. In fact, we just got shot in the back there and the armor plate stopped most of that damage. Interesting. And the armor plate has been broken. No sense in not replacing it. Just don't ask where it's going. We've got a vest to hold it. It's fine. And now we can get back to shooting these guys, which at 82 damage to the chest, I'm thinking we're going to have to go for headshots here just to get our damage and time to kill down to more respectable numbers. Yes. Let's switch to the third variant, which is a short-barreled AK-47, which, in the interest of preventing muzzle flash, don't do this in real life. Also, all of that unburnt powder from the 7.62 round probably might blow up in your face a little bit. It looks like the accuracy in VATS is fairly generic. Nothing to really write home about. Probably something you'd see out of a standard sort of vanilla game rifle. Although I gotta say, the openness of the iron sights here I quite like compared to the sort of restrictions of the visuals on the reflex sights, which is nice. Granted, we are getting a slight penalty in comparison to utilizing the reflex sights for VATS. The ability to just hold the sights on a target when there's no recoil pushing your muzzle up makes it a very comfortable shooting experience. like sitting down on your couch after a long hot summer's day of working on a roof, getting your skin burnt to a brown tan, and having a Bundy at the same time. It's good stuff. Okay, apparently the job here is spamming Molotovs. It'll be the basic gunner doing that, because that Tech 9 would be doing absolutely nothing. Now, it's unfortunate that we don't actually see any benefits. Shut up, phone, I'm talking. We don't ever see any of the benefits of having the short barrel reflected in maybe VATS usage, because I noticed that range didn't change all that much. And, uh-oh, someone's got a grenade launcher. That's it on the floor there, so I managed to trade kill the grenade launcher guy, and I'll just confiscate that. Don't you bloody pick that up. I gotta say, I wasn't quite prepared for that door breach, but there we go. Last variant, let's go. This one is the one with the busted-ass reflex sight, and perhaps busted in third person as well. Or maybe the barrel's like bent out 45 degrees. I don't really know what's going on here. But for some reason, it's, well, it's just a little bit busted here in third person. I might just have a quick little hit in VATS just to see if I hold it really weird like. It's like Raine's looking over her shoulder, maybe keeping a watch on that particular gunner whilst the Vault Tech targeting system figures out where the current target is. And it looks like at this point we've got one left, and I don't think we've hit Nerd Rage just yet. We might in encountering this particular fellow down here. Not quite. Although the we had high explosive grenades on him and a service rifle, which would have done a little bit of damage should I have let him shoot me. But yeah, looks like we've comfortably been able to do this. Granted, killing all of those gunners fairly cheaply with sneak criticals to start off kind of swung things in my favor a little bit, and I think right now it is time for Nerd Rage. I see a bit of screen radial blur. Now we're really pissed off, and you won't like me when I'm angry. The voice crack right at the end. Okay, and we're done. And seriously, what are you looking at? We're looking at something there. Something's caught Raine's attention, and I don't know what it is, and that might be causing the issues in the third-person animations. Might have to reload the game to snap her out of this trance. Okay, so it appears we're head-tracking one of these dead gunners, possibly the one that shot the grenade launcher at me, and I was looking at them whilst I was ragdolled, so we're just sort of fixated on that now, which is odd. Maybe you want a bit of revenge? There you go, you've had your revenge. They were dead anyway, so you had it already, but now can you put it behind you? Okay, no. Not even saving and reloading gets Raine out of this trance that she's found herself in, so we're just going to ignore it. We'll have to talk about it another day. But for now, we're going to be fighting the Super Mutant Behemoth, who is currently fighting a bunch of little Rust Devil dudes with their little toy robots that they like to stick on him. And we're in caution, so we might be able to get a little bit of sneak criticalness out of this. And try to take out these ones that are sort of out towards the back here, just to make our job easier. And now we can zero in on the last target there. And I think that is time. Okay, now we're in danger. I suspect being in broad daylight may have contributed to the fact that we were... Okay, I feel like there's a tiny little bit of difference between suppressed and unsuppressed versions, but not enough to make it super noticeable. Usually there's a bigger distinction between sounds, at least in vanilla, and usually what other mods scrounge up, but that's fine. So, with this blazing fast reload, we should be able to keep our DPS on this guy fairly evenly distributed and quickly distributed. And if we can get him stuck behind there to infinitely throw stones at me and just stand there and take it like a Skyrim mammoth, then that's fine. Maybe we go back into caution while sneaking like this. I suppose we'll go for the suppressed variant here because we'll get slightly better damage thanks to Ace Operator. Let's test the hipfire, shall we? Which I do more damage hip-firing than when I aim down sights. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. That's really weird. when I aim down sights, do I somehow decrease the range of this thing? And ooh, I don't know. Maybe I'd have to ask Warfighter about that, because that's a very strange phenomenon. Like staring into absolutely nothing. Look, you've killed the gunner already. That fight's over. We should move on. I realize I haven't used this thing that much in VATS yet, so let's rectify this by shooting this ghoul and possibly those insects just before. And okay, they're all pissed off at each other now, and they've triggered a mine which has sent that mantis corpse flying, which is fairly amusing, yes. And let's try to get some VATS hits in. We've got 5 shots, which means we can make them all criticals, and we can do a fairly decent amount of damage with those criticals. Like with most mod guns, if it's a suppressed automatic weapon, stealth commandoing is going to make its DPS skyrocket by a lot, and this is no exception, which is not necessarily a bad thing. As a consequence, you'll find that ballistic weapons in this game fairly outpace, outshine, outdamage any energy weapons, simply because you can throw suppressors on them. And there we go, there's our cover blown there, but I believe we should be able to just dodge around his attacks because it's a Bethesda enemy and their AI is not known for being savvy when it comes to pathing. Hopefully we can get a couple of cheeky staggers on him right now. Do we hold our ground? Yes, we do. Keep the DPS coming. Not quite enough to finish him. A few more headshots in that little volley, and I think it would have finished the job. But without a scratch, we've able to complete this fight. And we've gotten over whatever that was at Gunner's Plaza. We can now look in the direction that we're facing. Isn't that nice? It's pretty good. And as we've picked a nice spot out here on the beach to watch the sunset eventually silhouette that nice little lighthouse over there, I think I'm going to call it for this video. I think you get the idea. Again, this here is Black Ops Cold War AK-47, and it's basically like what it would be in a COD game. Easy to pick up, easy to use. It's not going to wrestle with you to get the recoil under control. The only gripes are just sort of personal ones, like chambering it in 5.56 I think was probably not the best decision. I think making it 308 for a standard vanilla type would be good, and tying in Nuka World to make it use that 7.62 round from that particular DLC would have made a little bit more sense. But the thing looks great, obviously, because it's a port and it's made by professional developers, possibly underpaid and overworked. But I think it's a pretty good port, a faithful recreation of what this thing might be like if it was a Call of Duty type of weapon in Fallout. So if you'd like to see this thing in your game, check out the link in the description. Whether this thing is available on Xbox, I'm not sure, because it's such a... the scope of the COD Mod Deposit is so high and wide that maybe if they're good enough, they'll be individually ported, but that's up for people to eventually do by themselves. I'll be surfing the net to see if there is, but by the time you've already seen this and watched this far into the video, you probably know if there's already an Xbox port or not by either the description or what I've found earlier in the video. But highly recommend it if you want to mess around with a good, decent AK. There's plenty out there, but if you want to have this one in your collection, then it's a good place to start if you haven't got any. Thanks for watching.